Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Book. Today we're continuing the adventure series, getting out of bags a little bit and going on into what goes into bags. And in front of me, I have about 45 knives. And today I thought I'd do something interesting because I watched a channel called Dutch Bushcraft Knives. If you haven't seen them, DBK, those guys are fun. And they had a video that they put out that said, if you could only pick 5 knives for the rest of your life, what would you take? Aha! Okay, everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Book. What are we doing? We're picking 5 knives if we could only take 5. We're picking 5 knives if we could only take 5 for the rest of our life. Now, this is all fun. Thank goodness we live in America as it is right now. We can still have as many as we want. We don't have to choose. Well, as many as the budget allows. In today's day, we know how hard that can be. But in front of me, again, I've got about 45 knives. This isn't my entire collection. These aren't all mine. This is a lifetime of collecting and going to shows and doing this and getting presents and things. This obviously doesn't happen overnight. A lot of money here, but I'm sure my collection's not even close to some of you. But I got to pick 5 from what I have, and so that's what I'm going to do. Rules for this, though. There got to be a couple caveats. So I watched the DBK channel, and they were torn up about this kitchen knife because they needed to have a kitchen knife. And it's a fair point, and I understand it because a kitchen knife is probably the knife you're going to use the most. But I'm going to move this over to 5 knives that you would carry for the rest of your life. Not all at once, but 5 knives that you would use and carry in the field outside. Because if you get into kitchen knives, then you also have to talk about, does a butter knife count? Does a paring knife count? Does a saute? I don't know. Okay. Like the big electric ones that go zzz and cut through the meat. No, kitchen utensils are out. Okay. Camping knife for food prep. Yes, that counts. Kitchen knife. No. Which you still might want a kitchen knife. Also, not included, machetes. Okay, I have one. Doesn't count as my knife. It's a machete. It's not a sword. It's not a knife. It's a machete. Can't use it like a knife. You can't carry it like a knife. This doesn't count. I can still have one of these plus 5 knives. Also doesn't count. Axes. This is a Husqvarna carpenter's axe. Pretty cool. Picked this up on a trip a couple years ago. Got a few axes. Love my axes. Maybe I'll do a video on which axes you could pick. But they don't count against my 5 knives either. So that will play big into big knives. Okay. I'm going to clear this table off. And then I'm going to pick knives by category. Dutch Bushcrafts did this as well. And I think this is a really good idea. And I'm trying to remember what their categories were. But my categories are going to be something like utility, which is going to be, in the end, if you could only grab one, run out the door, the house is on fire or something, you could only had time to grab one knife. Which one would you take kind of thing? The EDC knife, which you're going to be trying to carry every day. Hunting knife for some of us who hunt, that's a huge thing. I mean, you're talking hunting now and prep for the if crap hits the fan, that kind of thing. You want to be able to process game. That's a big thing. Now, DBK, they do a lot of bushcrafting stuff. And I do a little of that, but bushcrafting is far enough down my list that, and we'll get into that. I think that some crossover can happen there. So that may not necessarily be one for me. Now, I'm also going to look at self-protection because this is one knife I can have for the rest of my life, like where gun law is going to go and stuff. And in a vacuum, what I pick may be different than my projection of what the future might be. So whatever. And then a kind of a woodlands outdoor knife, and this could go into the bushcrafting one as well, but maybe the hunting one fits in there. We'll see. We'll kind of see how this goes. But I'm also looking at the heavy hitters and survival section. So we're going to get into some nitpicking on some things and then have to make some hard choices from there. So I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to come back with the first category, and I'll be right back. All right. So first up, we're going to kind of do this. And I know it's kind of hard to see I got to pull these back here a little bit. I'll show you the knives one at a time so you can see them. First up, let me grab a drink here. What we're going to do is we're going to do this tournament style. Might be kind of a long video, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to do the big knives. I'm going to do what I'm going to call the heavy hitter segment. So how I'm going to do this, I'll pick these segments, and then at the end, the winners of each segment, we'll put them up against each other, and we might just have to knock out a couple segments. Forgot to mention one earlier too. And I've only got a couple in that, is the heirloom knives. That's going to be a tough one because I've only got a couple. And if you can keep only 5, ooh, do you keep the pretty ones that sit in the safe? Okay, big knives, big-ish knives. I got a couple really big knives. I got a couple medium big knives, but these are the thick boys. These are the ones that, you know, if you could only have 5 knives, you might look at these and go, these are going to hold up. These are going to be your tough ones. You can chop down a tree or whatever. But, going back to the beginning of this video, being able to keep an axe changes this segment. If I couldn't keep an axe, I think I would for sure dive into this heavy. Well, I'm still going to dive into this heavy because these are the heavy hitters, but that might play in later. So first off, what do we have in front of us? We've got some spendier options and we got some budget options. So I'm going to kind of throw those in there because look, again, I'm getting up there and I've been around a few years. I've collected these in my entire life. When I first started collecting knives, there is no way that I could have afforded some of the ones I have here. So I understand that we are all at different levels. And so even though this is a fun 5 knives that you can have for the rest of your life, also kind of think of this as if you're starting out, maybe these are 5 great ones to start with or 5 types to start with. So first off on the table, I'm going to go with, and again, these aren't all mine. I have little thick chunky Schrade knife, and this is the SCH F36. I cannot stand how Schrade names their knives. It's like a Jaguar XCJK. You know what? Just stop it. Name it something. But this, not quite a 1/4 inch thick, but it's getting up there. Probably, and I'm not going to give you the specs on every knife because we'll be here all night. But this blade length's about 5 inches. I am going to try to do that just to give you an idea of where they are. And I'm going to be like leaning in here so you can kind of see them. But it's got a nice finger choil right here, nice rubber handle, really thick, but not super long. And that's going to play in. And does this really fit in the big boys? Yes, because it's heavy, it's thick. But that knife, you know, if I'm only picking 5, am I going on the budget side? Well, if the knife's good enough, and this knife will last. This is again, my son, this is his go around truck knife kind of thing, and I have no problem knowing that he's out there. If he's got to use this to chop down a tree, don't ask me how we know that we need to do that, or get out of a sticky situation. This will do it. This is a solid knife. Nylon sheath though, you know what? Again, if I only have 5 knives, can I probably buy custom sheaths? Yeah, probably. Do I want to start with that? I don't know. But anyway, one Schrade. Second Schrade is a little bit longer, no finger choil. This is the SCHF9N. Oh my God. Schrade, stop it. Okay, this is mine. I got this on a super sale at some point. Longer blade, probably about a 6.5, 7-inch blade, maybe even maybe longer than that. This is a Griffin design. Cool knife. Finger choil's not as pronounced. Nice rubber handle, just like the other one. Got the finger grooves in it. They don't really fit my hand well, and this knife is, the balance isn't where I'd like it to be. Again, nylon sheath with like a plastic insert. The plastic insert, nice. Well, I thought. Anyway, fit and finish on Schrade been hit or miss. The two we got here actually pretty good. Two good representation. I had a Schrade before. You could tell the grind lines were like, you know, you're supposed to apex the grind, and it was like off to one side. If it was a race car driver, it'd be in the ditch. Okay. Moving up a little bit in price. Those ones I think were in the 50, they're in the 50, $60 range, somewhere in that range. This, oh, and I've got this blade. Sorry, you're going to see, if you see streaks on this blade, it's not dirty. I got some of the wax to put on the blade to clean it off. This is a Terrascrama and Jacari. No, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of that company. These make, I know they make some of the absolute best utility knives. Sometimes I wish I'd have got that, but that is a big, big, choppy boy right there. And the cool thing about this blade is, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a different grind closer to the handle than there is on the edge of the blade. So you can feather stick with it, use it, manipulate it a little bit. This has got a over-molded handle. I'm not sure what it's rubberized over-molded, but it definitely feels like solid grip. This thing, you could chop down a tree with this. Look how big that is. Holy cow. And the sheath is just this little plastic cover. I'm going to start scooting a little faster because we will never get through this if I do this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to break these videos down into each segment. I don't know if I want to do that. Kind of want to do this in one shot here. Okay. Next up, now I have this one out of the sheath, has a nylon sheath. This one is attached to my bug out bag. This is the Becker BK7. It's got a plastic handle, full tang. It's got a crusher down here at the bottom. I've got some grip tape on this. Got a nice thumb jimping up here. Nice balance. This thing, not quite as thick as the Schrades, but it's a Becker. And again, I'm not going to go in the specs of all the steels and try to find all that for you. I know it's not high-end steel. It's closer to a 1095 carbon type of steel. I know it's not that. But the fact that this just feels so good, and that this is attached to my get home, bug out, save the world type bag, might tell you something, how good this knife feels. And I've seen a ton of videos on Beckers and trying to break them. They don't break. Well, I mean, you can break anything, but facetious here. They don't break. Unless you try really, really, really hard, put them past what they need to do. Okay, speaking of not breaking, next knife, SE5, 5-inch blade, obviously. In fact, I'll compare the two. The Becker BK7 7-inch blade, the SE5 5-inch blade. The SE5 5-inch blade, about the same thickness. I think the SE's got it by, the SE's got it by quite a bit. But this thing is so much heavier than that 7-inch one. It's got the old SE flat micarta handles that, I used to like flat handles, but not anymore. Kind of want a little bit of a swell in the grip to go into your hand there. This knife, I know it would survive anything at 1095 steel. And if you don't know, SE has world famous for their warranty. So you break it, you send it in, they send you a new one. There's just no questions asked. They actually like that. They want you to try hard with their knives. I love the company. Steel seems to be a little soft. It loses its edge pretty quick. Okay, there's two ways to think of this SE. One is, I can get a replacement for this. If I break it, I can get a replacement for the warranty. Other way of thinking is, are we thinking 5 for the rest of your life and shit hits the fan and there's no possible way to get the warranty fulfilled? So 2 ways of thinking about that. If we're thinking the way where you can get this replaced at any point, might think about that. All right, last one in the heavy hitters, the big boys I have. And again, what is it with the... So thankfully SE has the, I believe that's Kydex sheath. And then the Scrama had the hard plastic sheath, which also, look, no attachment points. Like this is just kind of slides in friction inside your belt. You know, can we call that a machete? I don't know. A little big. This one we can't call a machete. It was designed to be the ultimate survival knife. It is the Tops Tahoma field knife. I think it's the name escapes me. The inventor of the designer, Chan, I believe. Really good, like smart dude. You have your bow drill divots on here. You have your wire cutters, big choil, so you can really choke up on this knife. But even if you choke up, it's not like a freaking 9-inch blade. Compare that to the 7, about an 8.5. Yeah, they'd probably call that a 9-inch blade. About the same thickness as the BK7. This thing, kind of a nice curved handle, has you can almost a screwdriver thing on the back. You can also use it to break things. This was meant to be a one life, one knife kind of thing. I like it, but man, that is a lot to carry around. Again, my rules, I can carry an axe. Again, nylon sheath, all these big boys, nylon sheaths with plastic inserts. And this is price points. We're all over the place. This one I think is about 180, probably 140 when I bought it. The Essie's around the 120 range. Becker, about $100. This is actually really good priced, 110 now. Used to be under $100. And again, the two Schrade's about 50. So which one am I going to pick? Let's not delve on this too much. Schrade's are out right now. Great knives, especially for the price. Like you cannot, they're just not going to break. They're going to hit hard and just do what you need to do. But for if I'm only picking 5 for the rest of my life, I'm going a little bit higher than that. The Scrama, while it is there's so many awesome things about this. I'm almost going to throw that in the machete category. It's just too big. Too big. Kind of the same thing with the Tops field knife, the Tahoma field knife. And I've got this stupid cord wrapped around here I need to take off. I was going to wrap it nicely, but this thing, very cool. Like cool factor times 10. It's even got the secondary bevel or edge on there. Holds in here secure, has so many good things going for it. You only have 5. Would this be an ultimate survival knife? I don't think so, to be honest with you. Because to me, ultimate survival means you need to be able to process game and small things. And I don't know what else I'm going to do with that thing other than chop down a tree and maybe try to start a fire with the bow divots. I really, really don't. I wish there was more I knew what to do with that, but I've used knives my entire life. I've grown up on a ranch. I've been in the military, police, SWAT. I train people now, or I'm in charge of training. I've been around knives and people who use knives my entire life. I have never been in a situation where this would come in handy. I'm sorry. It just never. Even chopping it, we got stuck on a tree one time, going back to that story. This would have been too big. Okay, so we're down to Becker BK7, SE5. Kind of tough, kind of not. This Becker, if you ever find one, a lot of people talk about the BK2 and the BK9, which is that much longer. I'm telling you, you go somewhere, find a BK7, pick it up. Wow, it can rock, it can handle it. So that is my heavy hitter winner. Okay, I'll be right back with the next group. All right. I've got another set in front of me here. So I'm going to put the winner over there behind this wire. Sorry, I'm a bad YouTuber. Have wires going everywhere. Okay, next one. Woodsman's knives. This would be... Sorry, again. Bad camera angles, bad YouTuber. Bad. These will be the knives. If you're going to go out in the woods, process, am I a good feather sticker? I don't know. I've done it like twice. I'm not DBK. That's for damn sure. My woods, cutting limbs off, making a fire, drilling out things in wood. It's not what I generally do. I live on some property with some trees. I grew up in areas with lots of trees and stuff. It's not my main jam. Let's just put it that way. Can I see a future where I would need to use one of these? Yeah. So is this relevant? Yeah. So let's just get into it. Woodsman's knives. What do woodsman's knives need to do? A lot of people will tell you a woodsman's knife needs to have a Scandi grind. Again, if this is your main jam, if this is your main thing that you do is process fire and make fire and do all those little cool things where you make the sticks that hold the cans over the fire. I love all that stuff, by the way. I'm not knocking. That is really cool. If that's your thing, then the Scandi grind, which is that little Scandi grind right here, you see you have a flat edge and then it cuts down the, someday I'll find a zoom. That's a Scandi grind where the bevel starts really low at the almost towards the point of the blade. So a lot of people will tell you you need that because it's really, really good at the feather sticking. It's really good at whittling like the knife work. So I get it, right? So, but does it have to be? I've never had to have it. It just makes things easier. So let's just get into what I have here. And again, very limited collection compared to some of you probably. So don't knock me on that, please. First off, I'm just going to go on this little custom guy here. Scandi grind. Very thin blade, which if we're talking woodsman, this is what we're talking about because also food prep's a part of this. And when I talk about woodsman's knife, this is kind of where my camping knife idea comes in. I want to be able to do the woodwork and then, but that's the same knife I'm going to have in my hand that I'm going to end up cutting the meat and the tomatoes and whatever I'm making, the onion. And this, that thin edge, lightweight, I can use it all day. Very handy. Nice leather sheath. Do I know who makes this? No, this is a local knife maker who I got at a gun show around my area. But very cool. I am a sucker for carbon steel blades. I know stainless, you don't rust, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I kind of have that old school blood in me. It's just something about a carbon steel blade that patinas and just, it's awesome. Anyway, okay, so that was probably like a $30, $40 knife, or maybe a little more than that, 60 maybe, but not bad for what that is. I actually really like that, although I know you won't be able to get this one, so I'm going to set that off to the side right now. Let's just go straight into what a lot of people would like to tell you is the best bang for the buck woods knife, bushcraft knife, the Mora Garberg. Now, if you've been around knife channels at all, you know what a Mora is. It's that $15, $20. They used to be $9 and like $11 like Scandinavian knife you pick up at every hardware store in the little stands where there's 10 of them or 20 of them in this box. And you're like, holy crap, is that any good? Yeah, actually, they're pretty good. I have one I go out and my process in my garden stuff and I've been using it. It's set out and in the rain and all kinds of crap. And that thing, I've cut open boxes and sacks and whatever. And it just keeps going. So yeah, they work. This one's a heftier version of that. Full tang. Again, kind of had the, stealing this from Winkler, but the crusher butt on there. This is actually a very, very nice size. It just fits perfect in the hand. It's about a 4-inch blade, 4.5, I don't know, but I don't like, this is a plastic handle. If this handle was just a little grippier, I would freaking love this thing. I still really love it, but not in love. I'm going to stick with Mora. I'm going to go with the cheaper version. This thing now is getting up to the $80, $90, $100 range. The Garberg used to be, you get them for $68, $70, but you know how things are now. Garberg, full tang, little bit, I mean, it feels good to me, but a little heavy. If you want a really lightweight knife and you want to go a step above the regular Mora, because I'm going to use a Wrangler Star thing here, doesn't give me the fizz, those regular Moras. They're great utility. Love to have them. Have one and try to have one in every one of my vehicles. The Cans Bowl, which is this, if you can kind of tell, there is a flat grind and then it bevels down into it. There's like 3 different grinds. There we go. On that knife, you can kind of see in the light there. which makes it where you can do the process that would work. It's got the Scandi grind back here that dips way down into almost a saber grind at the front. Kind of a cool knife, and the handle, this part is actually a little tackier than the Garberg, which surprises me. Okay. That is about a $45 knife, the Kensbull. I really like those. Those feel super, super good, but are they as stout as the Garberg? No. So is it the knife you want to have for the rest of your life? Not sure about that, but again, budget options. If you're just starting out in collecting knives and you're looking at a good bushcrafter, there you go. Okay, I'm going to move on to two more. I really got into these a while back. The BPS knives made in Ukraine. You get them. This knife here, this I believe is the BPS Adventurer. I don't know what steel it is, but I carried this around out in my backyard for a while, and I say I don't do a lot of wood prep. I use this I have one of those solo stoves and chopped a lot of wood, cut it up to just see how the solo stove and my fire pit would do. Use this fire steel, all kinds of stuff. Banged on some trees with this, dropped it a few times, had to pry up some wood with this. I think this is like 1065, 1070, 1075 steel. I don't know. It's not super thick. And the handle, like, big pet peeve of mine is when the scales don't fit the steel. Like there's a little hot spot on the back there where you could grind that down, or I'm probably going to put new scales on it and that fit, because the handle is just a touch small. But $36 on Amazon. This leather sheath it comes in with it doesn't come with the fire steel, but it comes with the fire steel holder. Wait, did it come with this fire steel? I might be wrong. It might have come with that fire steel. I think this one did, the Adventurer. That sheath alone is worth $30. It isn't cheap leather. That is some thick, good stuff. I put some Obenhoffs on there. That's really nice. $36. Okay, my son's BPS, I got him one too. Got a saber grind. I can't remember what this one's called. Maybe it's not just BPS 10. Holy crud. It says the steel on there. 1066 maybe. My eyes aren't what they used to be. But saber grind, kind of has a cool shape, cool handle, really cool feel. This one actually feels better in the hand, but again, the same thing. The steel sticks above the wood. It's almost like the wood shrunk. Again, though, same thing with the sheath. It's just, I think it's probably the same sheath. That's how they get away with it, but sheath's worth $30. Just no fire steel on that one. Okay, so you can see my woodworking, bushcraft skill knives. Probably not the highest end. I'd love to have an LT Wright. It's on my dream list. Things like that. If I could have only 5 knives, we'll get to that later. LT Wright's on the list, ones I don't have. My wife's knife. She's kicking my butt in this class. The Tops Bob Brothers of Bushcraft Field Craft knife. If you've been in knives at all, you know about the Bob. It's got a bow drill divot. Again, the crusher has a scraper on the back. It's a little heftier. I mean, it's quite a bit. Well, it's actually not as heavy as I thought compared to the Garberg. This is a stout knife. This will hold up. Comes with a Kydex sheath with a fire steel clip on it. That sheath will hold up. Nice retention on that. Like, that is not going anywhere. A little whistle on here. They know what they're doing with the tops. So I need to speed through this a little bit. So there's just no, like, it's no duh. It's between the Garberg and the Bob. I mean, this is hard for me to say because the Garberg is mine. This is really tough. If I was only picking one knife out of this whole section, I could only take one, I would take the Tops Bob. But in my selection here, I need a lighter weight knife. And this, I'm going to take the Mora Garberg.